Mattys Mental Health Podcast, aiming to spread awareness on mental health by sharing the real-life stories of those who've experienced it firsthand. All right, Joy, Denise is here.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
It's going good. It's going good. It's almost like we were just talking.
Yeah.
So you reached out, Joy, and I want to say thank you again for reaching out. And you wanted to come on the podcast. And where are you right now? You're in Rockford, Illinois?
Yes, I'm in Rockford, Illinois. It's about, let's say, 90 minutes away from Chicago. It's a pretty big, Chicago is a big city in itself, but Rockford is more of like a suburban city. So it's kind of like on the outskirts of like Chicago.
Okay,
yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really cool of you to reach out. Did you just come across the page?
I was like I'm doing searches for like mental health podcasts. Like I've been searching like a lot just because I wanted to get myself out there. I've been talking about mental abuse and mental health for a few years now. I started back in like 2016. And I just started speaking out and sharing my story about, what I went through. And ever since then, I've just been like talking to people and connecting and helping different people overcome the same thing that I went through. So but I've been like looking for people to connect with via like Instagram, Facebook, like yourself, like how I saw you, and then YouTube also. So yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found my page. That's great.
Yeah. Happy to like you as well.
Yeah. So you told me just like a little bit about your story. You just mentioned it there. Just experiencing mental abuse.
Yes.
And being in kind of toxic relationships.
Yes.
And I think it's a very important subject because I think it happens a lot, and it's something that people need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
So you can just start wherever you want, but if you want to just get into it, go right ahead.
Yeah, so I don't really know where to start, but I guess I'll just kind of just take it. But pretty much I'm 31 years old, and I'm a native of Delaware. So I was born in Delaware. That's like on the eastern side of the states. And when I was 17 years old, I moved to California. I spent 5 years living with my aunt. She was a narcissist. We were in Orange County, California. By the time I realized who and what she was, I moved out, and I was living in Long Beach, California. And from there, I was kind of living my life. And while I was with my aunt, she did abuse me mentally, verbally, emotionally, psychologically, always. And that really hurt me because we were like blood family. It wasn't like, I was adopted or like an orphan or anything, And so that occurred.
Right.
And so even while I was like living with her, I met this guy, and he turned out to be a narcissist. So if you can only imagine, I was dealing with double the abuse, double the gaslighting and silent treatment and all those manipulation tactics. But I met him because I was inspired by music. Like music is like one of my first loves. Like I love music with everything. And he was a music producer. So I was like really inspired by him because I found him on YouTube, and he had been making beats and was a really good leader in the industry, like helping people have like a music production business. And so I thought like, I love music. So why not reach out to him and see like how he can help me, And so I had been in contact with him, and I reached out to him, and he was like really cool about it. And he was like, yeah, I love to help you. I love to support you and this and this and that. And so it had been like a month or two since we talked to each other, and I decided to meet up with him. And so I drove all the way from Orange County, California to North Hollywood. So I don't know if you've ever been to the States or not, but but California in itself is big. It's like a big state. And so it was like an hour drive to get to where he was. And so
Yeah.
I went over there and I had my friend because I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know this guy. I'm like, you know. And
Yeah.
so she came with me. It was a good little meeting. We had a good time. And we decided to like meet up more often, you know, and we kind of started to gain a friendship and we started to like kind of gain feelings, or at least that's what I thought was what was happening. Um, but it turns out he was just kind of playing along with it, being a player. You know how some guys can be,
Yeah,
and
for
not
sure.
really taking a relationship serious, kind of just looking for one thing only. Um, so that's that in a nutshell. A few years later, fast track, he turned out to be a narcissist. He ended up breaking my heart in the worst way that anybody could. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then when it comes to my aunt, fast rewind to her.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna ask you, like,
yeah,
um, at what point? So you said like 5 years later, you kind of realized.
yeah.
But looking back, like, what are like the things that? What are the signs that you've seen like from the
Oh,
start?
okay. So in regards to my aunt, what I started to see with her when I started to show interest, like I wanted to move out of her home, I wanted to be, you know, kind of independent of her and just kind of live my life. I noticed she would be very like demeaning and very sarcastic and kind of going against like what I was trying to do, you know, like really being very negative and very pessimistic, you know. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm young. Like at the time I was like, now I'm 31, but like at the time I was like 21. And you know, I'm just like, I can't figure everything out. So I'm just kind of like going by faith. You know, I can't plan out my whole life because nobody can do that. You know what I mean? And so the way that
Yeah.
she was like acting towards me is like, oh, you should have everything, you know, figured out. And if you don't, then something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? And it's just like nobody has everything figured out. But not only that, but I just noticed that she just started to be like hard on me and very critical of me, like out of nowhere. And I was just like, this is not right, you know. And even when I did move out of her home, like we were still in contact. And I just
Yeah.
remember like when she would invite me to go out to like different events, like family events, or just we go out to the mall or to a restaurant, I would feel bad like when I was with her. And you know, like when you're with family, you don't feel bad, right? You're supposed to be like get that emotional support and feel good. They're supposed to encourage you and stuff like that. But I got the complete opposite. I got like, oh, well, you should have did this, you should have did that. What's wrong with you? Why are you doing that? You know, so just very critical and just being like being a bully in a sense, you know, and this is my aunt, you know what I mean? So that's when I really started to kind of see like the red flags. And I was just like, I have to go no contact with her. And it hurt me a lot because I cared for her. She was like my caregiver at the time, but she did not care about me at all. And that was like really, really, really painful. So yeah, that's what I went through for like 5 years, unfortunately. But
Right. So that must have been really hard to eventually kind of break it off.
it was, and I almost felt guilty, to be honest with you. I know, like when I was in the process of moving out, like I remember she would try to use guilt tactics. Like she'd be like, "Oh, well, are you sure you can pay your rent on time? Are you sure you'll be able to take care of your phone bill? Like you know you're gonna have to like do all that by yourself, right? But if you stay with me, you know you won't have to worry about that." Like she was trying to like be manipulative and trying to keep me with her, like dependent on her. Like she's a female narc, so a lot of the female narcissists, they're like that, they like to control like their children or their partners or other like people around them. They feel power in that, you know. And so, and I remember my her son, which was my cousin, I realized like the change in him because previously he was like on his own and he decided to move back in with her, right? And I seen the difference. Like he became so lazy and he was so complacent and he just looked bad. And I was just like, he was living with her, and I was happy that I had moved out because I was like, I don't want to be like that. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
I felt bad for him, but he wasn't like doing anything about it. So it's just like you're complacent, but that wasn't me. So yeah,
Right. No, that's good. So, um, we'll get into the boyfriend too, but
yeah.
Did you like do research on narcissism after
I
all this?
Yes, so that's a good question. So like once I broke free from the guy that I was dealing with, I was like all in my head. I was like obsessed. My mind was constantly ruminating, like, how could I not have known? I can't believe he just played me. I can't believe like he has a new supply on his page. And so I started to do research because at the time I had went to counseling for about a year. And I was obsessed. I was like, I remember like little phrases and words that he would say. I would type that in on my computer and be like, well, what did that mean? Or why would he do this? Or why would he do that? And so, yeah, I did a lot of research on this. And I literally was obsessed for like 6 months, just constantly just searching it and trying to find out what happened and seeing who else went through it. And what was ironic is like, even she was like a counselor. She didn't really know about narcissistic abuse. So it was a little difficult to work with her. And I also felt like she judged me a lot too. But I don't know, she just had this face that just looked like, okay. Like there was no emotion or nothing. But
Right.
she didn't really know about narcissistic abuse. But yeah, she was helpful. But yeah, I ended up doing a lot of research. Yeah. And it was good. It was really good.
So, um, maybe I'm sure we'll get into it more with the boyfriend, but
Yeah.
what are some of the things, like, so what are some of the key things that you have come across in both your experiences that should set off a green light in the head that this is a narcissist?
So what I would say is, how they talk to you. Like the way like you mean like signs you can tell you're dealing with a narcissist basically? Or like,
Yeah.
so like just how they act, like they're very like they feel entitled to you. Like they feel entitled to your time, like your money, your energy. They're very like self-absorbed, they're selfish. It's when you're talking to them, let's say you're like talking to me, right? And you're telling me about your life and I'm like, okay, yeah, like I understand. And then this person, they're not listening. They're just waiting for a moment to turn the situation back onto them. They're very like, are you done talking? All right, now me. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yeah.
that kind of deal. And then they always have this like high sense of like superiority. They think that they're better than a lot of people. Like and especially the females, they're always like competing with you, judging you. They're very controlling kind of person. And they're just mean, very mean. Um, and they never accept accountability. Like if you're dealing with someone and like you're always at fault, they never accept responsibility, then that could be a sign too. Yeah, and they can't love. Like there's no emotions at all. Like you'll start to see, like in the beginning, they'll love bomb you. They call it grooming. So they'll like show you a lot of attention, a lot of care, a lot of admiration, and they'll give you compliments. And then all of a sudden the mask, it starts to fall. Like it just depends on like if they feel like they can use you, they'll kind of keep that love bombing stage. They call it how do you say? Well, yeah, like love bombing. So it just depends on how long they do that for you. But yeah, those are kind of the signs. They're users. Yeah, you'll feel like you're being used. You'll feel like you're being criticized, and you'll feel bad about yourself. You'll feel really bad, and that's not normal in a relationship. You know what I mean? It's not. You're not supposed
100%.
to go through that. You'll feel like they're bullying you. They're like they're almost attacking you.
Hmm.
So yeah, would be like some signs.
Okay. Yeah. No, those are really great things to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm glad you're saying this. I'm glad we're gonna get this out because, like, I know that it's common,
Oh yeah.
right?
And to be honest with you, like going from do you know where Delaware is at? Like, are you familiar with the states at all, or?
Yeah. So is Delaware? I'm not sure where Delaware is, but
Oh, like
what state is that close to?
it's close to like New York, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah, just East
Right?
Coast. I'm on the East Coast too of Canada.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So and I love to visit Canada. But anyway, yeah, so like coming from Delaware all the way to California, you know, that's all the way like on the West Coast. It was like
Yeah.
a big like difference for me. And there's a lot of narcissists there, especially like where I was at, like Southern California, like, you know, the weather is nice, the location is great, everybody wants to be a star, you know, an
Hmm.
actor, a model, rapper, whatever. And so you have those personalities there, and people, they're just trying to make it. They're just trying to, you know, find out how they could use you in some way. And so that's what they're doing. They're being a narcissist. They're like selfish. They don't care who they hurt. You know, your feelings don't matter. There's no love. There's no nothing. It's just like me, 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 me. Like, it's ridiculous. So,
Right.
yeah.
Um, do you think, yeah, do you think narcissism, I know it's kind of like, it's something that happens to people from birth, right? Or sometimes when there was a trauma
Yeah,
at a young
I don't
age.
really think that it's from birth. Some people may believe that, but I think it comes from, yeah, trauma. Like if something, let's say you get cheated on, or you get lied to, or you get abandoned by your parents or somebody that you really loved or something like that. I think that that's where it could come from, because I feel like people think, oh, you know, well, if I love this person and they hurt me, well, why would I love anybody else again? Because they're just going to do the same thing. You know, that's like kind of how they think. So they don't really take the time to do the inner work and heal themselves. I think what they do is they just decide like, okay, I'm going to protect myself. I'm never going to love again, but I still have to pretend like I'm loving because I still have to live. I still have needs. I still have wants. So
Right.
I have to be pretend like I'm normal, but I'm really not, you know. So it's kind of, they do it like in a covert way, a lot of them, and I think they become narcissists after a while because they don't want to get hurt no more. I mean, I get it to a certain extent, but I don't agree with, you know, hurting people, and the fact that they're happy when they hurt you like that. I remember like my aunt, she would love to see me cry. Like I remember, like, you know, like if you're a parent and you see your child crying, you're going to be concerned, right? You're going to be like, well, how can I make it better? Well, what's wrong? Let's fix it. On my end, my aunt, when she used to see me hurt or upset, I remember I used to see like a smirk on her face. Like she loved that, you know?
Hmm.
So they're pretty sick
Right.
individuals. So yeah.
Right. I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm just not educated on it, but I
Mhm.
think, so it's a personality disorder. I think there's probably a spectrum of it, whether it happens, whenever it happens in your life, but like, I think that it can be something that's kind of comes on in like childhood
Oh yeah.
or younger
Mhm.
for a lot of them, where like
I think so.
they
Yeah.
don't feel emotion and stuff like that. Um, but how, so we should get more into the boyfriend after meeting the boyfriend and
Yeah.
how that went.
So like with him, I'm gonna be honest with you, like I actually fell in love with him. I did. And well, now I'm dealing with someone else, but I always talked about like what happened with me in that experience. And it's not that I'm bitter in a sense, but I still can't believe that he did that to me. But I know at the same time everything happened for a reason. But the fact that he pretended to care about me and pretended that he was interested in my life, and that he really could care less, and that he just discarded me like I was like nothing, that was like hurtful. Because when I met him, you know, we built a relationship, we built a connection, it was a friendship, at least that's what I thought. You know, and as I said, I met him online. We were like messaging each other through YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that, and we finally ended up meeting up. And he was really helping me with like my music. Like I like to produce music. I haven't done it in a while because I'm gonna be honest with you, narcissists, they can kill your dream. They can kill your dreams, and your potential. And that's what I felt happened to me for that period of time. I had to heal. I had to like get over it, you know. And I'm gonna be honest, like since then I haven't really worked on instrumentals or the music that I was doing. I haven't done it since I've really been talking to him. But yeah, so basically in the relationship, you know, he was pretending like we were gonna be together, you know, just future faking, that's what they call it. You know, saying like, oh, I want to be with someone like you know, but meanwhile, you know, behind the scenes, he was abusive. I'm gonna be honest, he was abusive. You know, just saying little remarks like, oh, you know, well, I think you should wear this. You look better with this on. Or like I remember one time my friend and I, we had went down to visit because we was gonna work on some music. And I remember he complimented my friend and he didn't compliment me. You know, so they kind of do
Mm.
little things like that. And I remember, I want to say, was this the last time I had seen him? I think this was the last time that I had seen him in person. I remember I drove to see him, and I remember when I pulled up, and because he had like a garage that you had to go in to see him. And I remember just seeing the look in his eyes, and it looked like, yeah, I got something. Like I'm tricking you. Like I'm about to get you. That's the look that he gave me, and I don't know. It was just really scary, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, it was a traumatic experience. Just like all of the gaslighting and him making me question my own judgment. And what's crazy is like there was another girl that had knew both of us. He actually introduced me to her, right? She was like a
Yeah.
songwriter, and we were gonna collab, and we ended up, you know, collabing. It went well, but what happened is I had sent her a text message one day, and I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" Just like checking in, right? And she was like, "My name is Joy," and she was like, "Oh, you know, if you're in contact, I'm not gonna say his name, but she's like, if you're in contact with so and so," she was like, "Well, I can't have anything to do with you. It's no disrespect to you or anything like that." But she said because of what occurred, she was from New York, and she was, I guess he had went to go and visit her or something like that. And I don't know what he did to her. I'm not sure. She still hadn't told me to this day, but she was like, and I asked her, I was like, what happened? She was like, it doesn't have any concern with you. Don't worry about it. She was just like, I don't want to be in contact with you or anybody that has anything to do with him, you know? And she tried to warn me. She tried to say, like, you know, he's not good. Be careful. But I didn't listen. And I kind of, I learned the hard way. So, and then I guess the kind of what ended up happening was, you know, he was supporting me with moving out of my aunt's house, right? He was giving me the a nudge and say, yeah, like move out, she's toxic, da da da, all this stuff. And I ended up getting my own place. I was happy. And I thought I was gonna celebrate with him. I thought we was gonna start our relationship, whatever. But when I reached out to him and I was inviting him over, you know what I seen? When I went on my Facebook page, I saw that he was in a relationship. And I was like, in a relationship? Like he never said anything about, you know, he was with someone or anything like that. And I guess he had someone this whole time. And so when I saw that, I was just like, wow, that's crazy. And so I was a little hurt because I was like, I thought we were gonna be together. But and then I think it was like a week later, he asked me if he could come over, and I was just like, no, because I'm like, you're already with somebody. Why do you need to come over here? You know what I mean? And so that was that. And then I guess he got mad because I was basically cutting him off. And so a few days later, he ended up posting a picture of this girl on his Facebook, and he knew that I saw it because he knew that that was going to hurt my feelings. And so I seen it, and I was hurt. I'm not going to lie, but I didn't tell him. And so that was that. And then what happened was I ended up reaching out to him like a month later, and I was just, you know, calling to check in on him, whatever. And you know what he said to me? He was like, oh, I know you see my Facebook post. He was like, did I kill your dreams? That's what he said to me. That's what he said. Did I kill your dreams? And I was like, no, you didn't. You didn't kill my dreams. And yeah.
So it sounds like constant head games,
Oh yeah.
belittling.
Oh yeah.
You're
Manipulation, all that stuff. Yeah.
you're not good enough. I am. You're
Right.
lucky to be with me.
Yes, yes. Yes. And what I will say though, I think he was trying to get revenge on me because originally, as I said, I was a lot younger than I am now. I know I probably look young, but I was 21 at the time. I'm 31 now, but I remember when we first was meeting up, he had a girlfriend at the time. He had a girlfriend, and he was like, oh, you know, well, I still would like to see you as well. And I knew better. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to be being with someone that has somebody else. No, you don't do that. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, some people accept it, but that's not me. So I was just telling him, no, give me 1 second. I'm going to get a drink of water.
Sure.
I was like, no, I'm not accepting that. And so he was really like, wanted me to do it. And I remember, this is how I knew he was toxic. When I told him no, he literally got up from his chair and he like threw something against the wall or not, and then he slammed his cabinet door. I was like, hey, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? You know, and so then I should have known like it was something that was off, because you don't go off on a tangent when somebody says no, you know what I mean? You just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you accept it. And so I think what he was trying to do was get revenge from that point on, because I think he felt like, you know,
Denied or
he felt,
rejected?
yeah, like he felt rejected, and just I think what his whole thing was, he was going to get revenge. And I think he felt good when, you know, he said that, well, he put that picture up on Facebook. And even on the comments, I remember the people were like, oh, I can't wait for her to meet the family. She's beautiful and this and this and that. And he knew that I saw it. He knew it, because I remember when I reached out to him, he was like, you see my Facebook post, right? And then I'll tell you what's crazy. This is how, again, I knew he was toxic. So after all of this occurred, I stopped talking to him. I'm not going to lie. Yes, I was looking on his Facebook. I was obsessed. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the people that have experienced narcissistic abuse, they're obsessed with their narcissist, because they don't leave you in a closure. They leave you pining for them. They leave you stuck. And you're just like, well, what happened? Did I do something wrong? Was I the problem? When actually they're the problem, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, he had people calling me like on my phone. Like he'd have people like calling my phone with like blocked numbers, private numbers, calling me, hanging up. He'd have people contact me on Facebook, like random people with like a female's picture, and they would add me like randomly, you know. And even like his best friend would poke me. You know how you can get poked on Facebook? Like his friends
Yeah.
were poking me. So I don't know. I felt like I was being harassed. I'm gonna be honest. So that's when I
Yeah.
was like, something is not right here. Something is not
Yeah.
right. So yeah.
So, what happened next? Did you
So
kind of
from
move away,
there,
or?
I just pretty much I let it go, and I knew he was watching me. I was kind of scared, to be honest. I was nervous because once I broke off the contact, I knew he was still trying to get my attention. I knew he wasn't happy with his new person. He tried to put on a front like, oh yeah, I have this new girl. I'm happy. You know, Joy's the problem. She, you know, and this person that I have now is better. And that wasn't the case at all. And because I realized once I let go of him, I was actually able to do more things. I was able to travel. I was starting to spend time with friends that I kind of neglected for him. And that's what narcissists do. They isolate you from people that really care about you and people that could really help you get out of an abusive relationship. You know what I mean? Like your friends and family, they care about you, you know, but the narcissist slowly but surely isolates you from being able to get that kind of help, you know, because you're just codependent on them. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as I started traveling more, and I noticed when I went to Utah for this business conference, and he literally had somebody call me and ask for him. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you call me and asking for this guy? We're not together. You're already with someone else, you know? So he was still trying to, they call it hoovering. So they're trying to like get me back into that cycle of abuse. But anyways, long story short, like I ended up like healing myself. I started to really, I had to grieve. I cried for like 6 months straight. I know it's kind of sad, but I cried a lot. I started to work on myself. I was like, why did I attract such an abusive person? Why did I attract this kind of experience? So I kind of had to look at myself a little bit, because it's not all about saying like, oh yeah, it's your fault. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The narcissist, you know, you gotta be like, well, I had a responsibility in this as well. You know, you kind of had to take that accountability. That's what being a normal person, you have to kind of take that accountability. A narcissist doesn't do that. So I had
Right.
to look inside of myself. I'm like, well, why? And then I started to realize there was something in my childhood that was still hurting me and that I still needed to resolve. And I realized that it was the fact that my parents that I didn't really feel emotionally supported by them. And so I had to reach out to my dad, I had to reach out to my mom, and I had to forgive them for what happened. And I said, okay, well, once I can forgive them, then I can forgive myself, and then I can move on with my life. Not saying I don't know if I would say I forgive the narc. I mean, I let them go. I would never take them back, of course, but I just be like, okay, it was a lesson. I had to learn something about myself, whether
Right.
I didn't love myself, or I didn't like value myself, or I was still harboring resentment to my parents for not being there for me, like emotionally. I had to just let that go once and for all. And then I was able to move on. But in terms of my aunt, in terms of her, I confronted her and I let her know how the certain things that she did and said to me, how that affected me. And one of the videos that I made on my YouTube channel, it's at Live Narc Free as well. I talk about how, you know, the narcissists, they don't apologize, because once I let my aunt know how the things that she did and said affected me, she's just like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like, really? That's not an apology. That's just like, I'm sorry you have those feelings, but I'm like still in the right, you know?
Yeah, it's like, sorry, you have a problem.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know?
or it's like, I'm sorry, but I had to do this because you made me do it, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that
Yeah.
whole like blame shifting. It's never like, oh, I'm really sincerely sorry I made you feel that way. You know, I was just maybe having a bad day, or something is wrong. Well, not like saying, oh, something's wrong with me, but I'm not like in my right mind. So I maybe took it out on you and I apologize. I need to work on myself. It's not like they're trying to improve themselves. It's like, oh yeah, you're the reason I did this and it's your fault, or I'm sorry you have that issue. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
not like I never meant to do that to you, or I didn't
right,
realize I
right,
was doing that to you.
exactly.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's like, as I said, but you know, like one of the things that I will say, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a very spiritual person, and I learned that everything happened for a reason. And one of the things that I did gain from these experiences is that I became closer to God. Like, I don't know what your relationship is with God or religion or anything like that. I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. And I became so close to God. Like, it's just amazing. And I feel like if I didn't have these experiences, that I probably wouldn't be as close to God as I am now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I'll share with you, maybe this will like kind of inspire someone, but I remember I was so determined to get my own place, right? Because at the time I was still kind of, you know, transitioning in my life, and I knew I didn't want to go back to living with my aunt because of how abusive she was. I knew she was a narcissist. And so what I decided to do was I was determined. I was like, I want to get my own place. I need to have my own place. So I ended up staying in my car for a month. I slept in my car for a month. And this was the winter time in California. But winter time in California is not like winter time in Chicago. Because in Chicago, like, they get snow. But like in California, it was just like mild temperature. It wasn't like, you know, snow like up to your kneecaps.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I did it, and I was able to make it through. And how I was able to do it was I was working on my computer. I still kept in contact with some of my closest friends, the people that I knew that I could trust, and they were there for me. They supported me. But I ended up getting in contact with this person, and they directed me to this, it was kind of like a shelter, and they was able to help me get into a program where they helped me move into an apartment where they would pay my rent for a year. And so I had already been in contact with them, so I was good, you know. But during those times that I was in my car, I cried and I was like, God, why am I going through this? And I was safe though every night, and I went to wash up like in, you know, Starbucks, right? They have Starbucks in Canada. I would like wash up in
Yeah.
the bathroom, or I would go to like the gym. Like, I had a membership, and I would shower like in the their showers in the gym. So I was always clean. I always looked presentable. I never looked like I was like homeless. But one of the things that I knew God was real, for anybody that never believed in God, Like, I think it was like the last couple of days before I was about to move in. There was this lady, she came up to me, and I guess she had seen me like in my car, because I like some days I would park in a parking lot and I'd sleep in my car, or there'd be other days where I'd be like, I'll go into a neighborhood and I'll park where it was kind of dark and where I'd be behind, like parked behind other cars, so it wouldn't be like obvious, you know. But she had seen me one morning, and she knocked on my window. She was like, "Hey there." She was like, "Are you homeless?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, kind of, yeah. And she was like, "Are you okay? Like, do you have a place that you're gonna move in soon?" And I was telling her like, "Yeah, I did get in contact with these people. They're gonna help me. I'm moving into my place really soon." She was like, "Oh, okay, good." She was like, I was only asking because she was like, "I went through the same thing, you know." She was telling me her story and all this stuff like that. Long story, she ended up moving to her place, but she was like, "I want to keep in contact with you. I want to know that you moved into your home." And she was like, "I want to give you something." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And so she gave me $40 in ones. And I was like, "Thank you so much." And I was like, I'll keep in contact with you. I'll let you know like when I move in and this and this and that. But I just share that story to let people know that God is real, that angels are real, and that you can overcome, you know, a bad situation. And but for me, it was like through my faith in God, and I prayed, and I stayed positive, and yeah, I was able to overcome it. So I always like share that story with people that have difficulties in their life. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's an awesome
Thank you.
story.
Thank you.
That's badass. Sleeping in your car for a month, and no, that's just amazing that you came through that. And I think that's cool too, like how, you know, you went through this bad thing, but then you ended up getting to know yourself better, and then going back to like your own childhood, and
Yes.
going in your own, clearing out your own skeletons out of your own closet, I guess.
Oh yeah, because again, because I coach people on stuff like this. I do like sessions and support stuff like that, and I have like video and audio courses. But one of the things that I tell people is like, it's not always about the narcissist. Yeah, I mean, we have our issues and we get into bad relationships and abusive situations, but it's like, why did you stay for so long? Why were you attracted to that person from
Yeah.
the get-go, you know? So like whenever I do a session, I tell them, like, people like, "Well, what makes you such a good life coach, or why should I work with you?" I'm like, well, for one, I I live this. Like, this is something that I lived. So I had that one-on-one experience, but I look at why, like, what was the reason why you stayed, or why did you attract this kind of person? What is it inside of you that made you stay? You know, so we look and we dig deep into those inner core issues on why, and try to work through them. And once we recognize them, then we can kind of start to take action to kind of help you heal that and move on and understand it and discover. And then that's when you can be like, okay, I know that the narcissist is not going to change. I have to change. And so these are my action steps that I have to do from this point forward. And I'm not going to say that you might not ever meet a narcissist, but if you do happen to come into contact with a narcissist, then you will have the skills and the knowledge and the information to keep you from engaging with them or connecting with them, and you will protect yourself. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So are you a life coach? Is that what you
Yeah,
do?
I haven't like gotten a degree or anything like that, but yeah, I do coach people. I have clients and stuff like that. But yeah. Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Good for you.
Thank you.
So what I'll do is I'll share your YouTube channel in the description of this, and I can share whatever else too if you have your life coaching, if you have a life coaching page as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing all this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Is there anything else you'd like to share or discuss before we end it?
I guess like if anybody wanted to work with me, or they wanted more information, they could reach out to me, you know, anything like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just happy to be a voice for people to like hear. And like I said, I know like there's a reason why I went through this. I feel like I'm a healer. I'm starting to understand like who I am. I also do like readings as well. I do like tarot readings. So that's like another aspect of everything. That's why I said I feel like I'm just here to heal. Like, cause you know, they say you have to get hurt in order to heal. And so that's how you become a healer, you know? So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to say thanks so much, Joy.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you for
reaching
having
out.
me, Matt. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
This has been awesome. It was really good to
Yeah,
meet you.
yeah, same here. Hopefully we can do this again.
We should. Okay, Joy.
All righty. I
All
hope
right.
you have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, take care.
All right, Joy.
All
I'm gonna
right.
cut it right there.
All right.
I'm gonna cut it right there.
Yeah,
So that's
sounds
the end of the
good.
podcast.
Sounds
That was great.
Yeah, no, thank you. Not to be honest with you, I was a tad bit nervous, just a little bit,
Yeah.
but it went pretty good.
Yeah, it's just a conversation, right? And
Yeah.
no, it went really great.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm really sorry to hear about that experience with your girlfriend you were telling me about. I'm really sorry to
Yeah.
hear about. So, and I'm
Thank you.
actually inspired by you as well. I mean, I know that is like a very hurtful experience, and that definitely shows your strength. I'm sure she would be happy of the things that you're doing now. So, yeah, I'm inspired as well by you. So, yep.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was just what you said there at the end about like you have to hurt to heal.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
definitely feel that now. Like if that didn't happen, if that didn't happen, if she didn't die, like I wouldn't be able to do this.
Right. And another thing I didn't share, but my brother, he actually got killed when I was 17. So that was really the reason why I ended up moving from Delaware to California. And I guess what was so hurtful about my aunt abusing me was because she knew where I had came from. You know, she knew what I experienced. And I just thought that it was so hurtful because I'm just like, how could you do that? You're my family. And you know what happened to my brother, and you know that I thought that was wrong. And so I stand by what I believe. I don't contact her. I don't. And people are like, that's your aunt. You should. She did a lot of things for you. And I'm like, I don't care. It's just like, you know, abuse. I was like innocent. I was young. I was like fresh, just trying to figure things out. And she goes and does that. I'm like, I can't condone that. I'm sorry. You know?
Yeah. No, you can't excuse abuse like that.
No, it's ridiculous. Especially, I mean, I don't excuse abuse from anybody, but I'm like, that's my family. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Should be a higher standard.
yeah, it's just like, really? So, yeah.
I couldn't imagine too, because like that's such a, you know, a vital age, and then going through a death too. You would have been you would have been like at your lowest point, right?
So yeah, that was heartbreaking. But as I said, it was a reason why I went through it, and I knew that my pain would not go like it wouldn't be in vain. That's what I was knowing that all along. So I feel like everything that I'm doing now, it makes sense. So yeah, I know I'll be okay. I'll be fine. So.
When did you get into the life coaching side of it?
I got into it. It's crazy because there was one video that I made because I was sharing my story like on YouTube, right? And first I put like my experience with narcissistic abuse because
So how did that happen? Like what made you want to do that?
You said what?
What inspired you to like share your story?
Oh, because I was like, I felt so hurt.
Right.
I was hurting bad. And I was like, I felt like I wanted to get revenge. Like I wanted to get back, and I didn't know how. And I just felt like I needed to say something. And I thought like if I would say something, it would probably help somebody. But I felt embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I was ashamed. And I thought like people would judge me. And to this day, yeah, people judge me, but it's like, I don't care. I feel like it could help someone else, you know? And I remember there was one video in particular. It was on my YouTube channel. You can follow me and I'll follow you back. But it was called The Narcissist Has a New Girlfriend or a New Supply. And that video got about 10,000 views within like a week. And it had like 60 something comments. And I was like, wow, like this I'm doing something right, you know, because I was
Hmm.
just like, okay, other people went through this, you know, I wasn't the only one. And people were like, yeah, you're right. So I was just like, okay, this is something that I should be doing. And then I started doing coaching sessions, and everybody was like, yeah, I was helping them. They said, like, what you said, it helped me heal or helped me break free from a toxic relationship. And I was like, all right, you know, so I knew I was doing something right. That's how I started doing sessions.
That's awesome. No, and that's just like, yeah, just like flipping something that happened to you into a positive. I think that's so great.
I didn't really think that I could do it. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't.
Yeah.
I felt so weak. I felt so weak, and I couldn't believe, like, I felt betrayed by my aunt. I felt
Yeah.
betrayed. I did.
Yeah.
So,
No, and then, yeah, the boyfriend too. And
yeah, that was,
it's
oh
just an
God.
unlucky streak. I mean, like from the point that your brother died to the
Yes,
point that you had the boyfriend. I
it
mean,
was
that's like a,
crazy. It's like my aunt, the one that abused me. She went to the funeral.
mm,
She went to the funeral, and I remember before I had seen her. And this is crazy. I didn't mention this, but narcissists, they give you a stare. They call it, it's like this death stare. And they're literally looking into your eyes. They're not blinking. They're just looking at you. And she did that to me. And the guy that I was dealing with, he did that to me as well. And it's the scariest thing. I don't know if you've ever experienced it or not. You don't want to.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, they don't blink. They're looking at you like I'm gonna get you, or like I'm gonna eat you. Like I'm gonna, like you're a piece of meat to me. I'm about to do something.
Mm-hmm.
It's really evil, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember my aunt, she gave me that look kind of when I was in Delaware. I didn't know what it was because, as I said, at the time I was 17. I didn't know anything about narcissistic abuse.
Yeah.
But as the time went on, I realized, I was like, wow, like she was really kind of just like kind of getting the feel of me, you know. Like, what I think what she was doing is she wanted to make me comfortable, and so I could just not think anything of her. And then once I was comfortable, then that's when she started to abuse me. So yeah, that was pretty crazy to me. And I don't know if you're familiar, they call it the scapegoat and the golden child. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So like, when I first was living with her, I was treated as the golden child. I was treated as if I couldn't do anything wrong. Like I
Mm.
was spoiled. I got anything and everything I wanted. Literally anything. Like we lived like 10 minutes away from Disneyland. And we went to Disneyland. She paid for everything. We would go to Vegas, all kinds of trips. I got anything, everything, literally. And then out of nowhere, I became the scapegoat child, which the scapegoat child is, you know, is at fault for everything. They're blamed for everything. If anything bad happens, it's the child's fault. Like, yeah, it's their fault. So that's what I went
Mm.
from, the golden child to the scapegoat. And that
Mm.
was hurtful. That was very, very hurtful.
So they draw you in with all that good stuff, and then
Yes. Oh
when you're comfortable, they,
God. Oh. Woo.
and then they have something on you too, where it's like if you try to say something about it, it's like, well, we went to
Yes.
Disneyland.
Right. Exactly. Oh my God. Mm. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It is so crazy.
No, that's awesome that you turned it into something positive. It was the same thing for me. Like, I went through hell and back the last 4 years, and like at the time, I never would have thought I would have did it. Like, it was a thought in my mind, like I want to do something about this. Like I thought like a charity or a day event or something, but I never thought like I'm gonna be actively doing it or I'm actually gonna start something. It was just something in the back of my mind, like I'll try to, I guess, sometime. But it was just I was at such a low that
Mm.
um, you know, I couldn't even imagine doing something like this. So
Wow. That's, well, I just want to say, like, you inspire me, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'm gonna do the same. But yeah, that's great that you overcame that, and that you're, you know, helping other people and giving them a platform to share their story as well. So yeah, I commend that. That's awesome.
thank you so much. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
And
thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
if you send me your stuff on Messenger, and then I'll put it in the description.
Okay, sounds good. I would love it.
And yeah, you should make music sometime again.
Oh yeah. I know, it's so crazy. Like, he really like killed that. Like, when they say like narcissists kill your dream, like it's true. Like they really do. But I mean, he hadn't killed my spirit because obviously I'm still going on and doing my thing. But at that time, yeah, like I didn't do any music. I mean, I still sing from time to time. I love like, it's nothing like serious, but I just sing little tunes. But yeah, it was, he did what a narcissist does, you know? So.
You're
Yeah.
thriving.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's good to talk to you, Matt. And I hope you have a great day. And yeah, keep in touch. I'd love to do another session if you want. Some other time.
We can definitely do it again sometime.
So yeah, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Have a good one.
You too.